Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us this week. If you're a senior golfer, this is going to be quite useful for you. I run a senior clinic this week, and I had a number of senior golfers with a number one request was how do I hit the ball much further, Danny? I'm struggling. I feel like I'm losing distance. Now they cited a poor backswing and a lack of flexibility as to why they were losing distance. Personally, however, we managed to, by the end of the session, with every single one of them, to improve the amount they turned despite their flexibility, and therefore added a minimum of 20 yards on every single one of their drives. In this week's training, I'm going to show you why the backswing is so important and why it's very, very important that you make as big a turn as you can. And if you're a senior golfer, you're going to have to make a few different compensations to make that turn, but if you can, you will hit the ball much further. That's what we're going to cover in this week's training. Before we do that, if you're new to the channel and this is one of your first videos, consider subscribing. I release videos just like this one every week to help improve your game. You press that little bell button next to the subscribe button, you get notified every time I release a new video. Now, so this senior clinic, here's what's going on. What do we need to do? Well, it's very, very important to make a full backswing, or as full a backswing as you possibly can. Now everyone, as we get a bit older, we're going to lose our flexibility a little bit, and that is definitely going to restrict us. But it doesn't have to restrict the length of swing as much as you might think. So what I found was this: a lot of senior golfers, well, let's start with what we're supposed to be after. In an ideal world, what does a great backswing look like? Well, when we're swinging back, you'll notice here, I've got the angle of my back is forward, okay, like this, it's angled forward. And what we're trying to do at this stage is when we make a swing, we want to be able to keep the angle so the left shoulder is down here and the right shoulder's up. So we've always got this angle forward. With that there, excuse me, with that there, we're able to make a nice, decent turn. That's the goal, that's the aim. So from here, we want to be able to turn back and make as full a turn as we possibly can. What do I see happening, or what was I seeing happening in this clinic? Well, with a number of the seniors, they had misinterpreted a shoulder turn, shoulder turn as opposed to a torso turn. What they were doing was this, and this is so common, a real big power leak. They were moving their hands, their arms, and their shoulders. But what do you see now? This left shoulder here is coming upwards, and they're making what they feel is a big turn, but what they've really done is made a shoulder turn and not a torso turn. You don't make a torso turn, you have nothing to drive into the shot. Now imagine this. If me and you now are going to have a bit of a tug of war, you grab hold of that end, I'll grab hold of this end. Now, I'm going to use my legs and my torso to drive you through. If I've just moved my shoulders over to you, I've become a lot weaker. So it's very, very important that the reality is the real power comes from learning how to make a proper torso turn. So that is what we're going to cover in this week's training. We're going to show you now how to make a really big turn using this, and maybe making a few compensations if you do have some flexibility issues. So let's have a look at this. The first thing to do, nearly every one of them could not make a proper turn because they started off balance. So when they're starting here is they're getting themselves set and they're walking to the golf ball and they're on their heels. Now, you cannot make a torso turn if you're on your heels. Now, a lot of people don't even realize they're doing this. They're sat on their heels here. You check it next time you're out. And if you were to make a turn, you'd lose your balance. So your body is designed to stay in balance. It will not allow you to lose your balance. So from here, you've got to get the sensation that you're much more forward. Now, the simplest way to do this is this. All I got the guys to do was watch the golf ball and keep moving their feet like this. So when you're walking, you don't walk like this on your heels. So the reality is, if you can walk to the golf ball, like imagine you're walking, you'll immediately find your best balance position. So straight away, I'm a much more balanced position here. Fantastic, I'm done. That is the first goal. Once you've put that in place, now you're in a balanced position, we're now ready to make the turn. Then what I want you to do, and this is something, look, we're approaching, you can see I've got my woolly hat on, we're approaching autumn stroke winter now, so it's getting a bit chilly. So some of these exercises you can do at home. Take a club, put it along your shoulder line like this. And what I want you to do is this. We want to maintain this angle here. We saw with the seniors, what they were doing was moving their shoulders. Now you might do this too. So what we want to do is we want to try and keep this angle. The question is a lot of people, if you start struggling with flexibility, the reason why they move their shoulders is because this is too tight. So what you want to get the sensation is here. So once you get to about here, you want to feel like your torso's moving. So you need two things to do. Maybe allow your left heel to give a little bit. So that's going to increase the amount of mobility you've got in your hip and your torso here. So I'm raising my left heel. The other thing, which dates back to the 90s really, people used to say, oh, I've got to keep my right leg bent. And do you know what, for most people that's just crazy. How can you make a turn if this is rock solid? It doesn't work. So watch this. I don't mind people doing two things. Straightening the right leg a little bit, but also feel like you're almost standing up. So you look at my left shoulder's down, and I'm actually feel like I'm standing into the position. This really opens up the rib cage, improves your flexibility, and helps you make a bigger shoulder turn. So let's go through those two things again. We're getting ourselves set up here. We're moving back. We're going to go to the hands and the club in a minute, but I just want to focus on torso. As we're moving back here, you're going to try to move your rib cage here, and we're going to do that by raising the left heel to help us. And watch this. I don't mind the right leg standing, and I'm literally going to feel like I'm standing up a little bit here, but I've kept the angle as I'm doing it. So I'm literally standing up. Standing up. I'm making a nice big motion there. That will hugely help your ability to complete the swing. Let's have a look at it from this side. So watch this. I'm moving back here. I'm allowing that left heel to come. That releases this hip. Therefore, it releases your torso. My torso's moving. I'm making a torso turn, not a shoulder turn. And watch this. I don't mind this starting to straighten because this creates space. Helps me to come up. And I don't mind standing up here. Very, very important, because look, now I can generate, I've loaded and stored energy, I can generate it back to the golf balls. Let's start with that first. So, you're going to repeat this a few times, get a feel of this. So it's like straight up and down. Raise the heel up, stand up and down. Nice and slow, we're not going for any big shots here. We're just going to go, feel the motion. Stand up, down. We don't care where the ball's going initially. All we're doing is trying to make a bigger movement. You make a bigger movement, you store more energy, you'll hit it further. We'll worry about direction in next stage. So we're pivoting back. We're winding it up, standing up, and back down again. Ready? Down. Fantastic. Now I would do a lot of this nice and slowly at the range, but do you know what? Do it now in the comfort of your own home. Grab a mirror. Very, very important. Grab a mirror. Look into a mirror now. Look at that. I'm going to imagine you're my mirror. What I'm going to do is we want to somehow keep this angle. When you do this and you don't move your feet, you might think, oh God, it feels a bit tight on my back. No problem. Start to release the lower section just a little bit to make sure this torso, this bit here, moves with you. Then what I like to do, when you get to around about here, just feel you're going to complete the swing by the right leg just standing up a little bit, and you're going to, there we go, we're going to make a bigger turn. So the right knee, leg straightens, it opens up this hip and allows you to make a much, much bigger turn on the backswing. It's a great exercise. There. Feel that motion. There we go. That's where you want to be going. That's now a much bigger motion here. Big turn. Once you've done that a few times, then obviously go and hit some golf balls. Now, the accuracy bit. So that's going to generate power. The final piece of the jigsaw is this. You've got to swing this thing. The accuracy bit is this. They've been so used to using their hands and the arms because again, this hasn't really moved, it's been forced to do that. Now what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to control this bit. So it's the final piece of the jigsaw. What I did was nice and simple. As opposed to pushing it, literally or flicking it back here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the sensation here that the lead arm, the left arm in my situation here, is dragging back there. So this left arm here, and what I've often done, I'll put a video actually up in this top right hand corner with two actually exercises which go into more detail on the takeaway, but you know, they will be very, very helpful. But now I'll just give you like a brief summary, which is probably all you're going to need, is put a T-peg in the top of the grip here, and what you try and do with this lead arm as you're making this motion here is you're going to try and keep the lead arm of this T-peg as close to this leg as you possibly can. Watch this, if you flick away, where's the T-peg gone? Straight away over there. So you keep the T-peg all together here. There we go. Now when you start to add that, you're looking after the club face as well. So let's start to join the dots a little bit. So T-peg's nice and close from here, and all we're going to do is wind up to the top and back down again. Wind the torso, not the shoulders, not the shoulders. Look at the angle I've still got here, yeah? Now let's have a look at this in action. I'm looking after the club now. Nice and slowly, no big ones. Wind it up and through. Okay, and it is as simple as that. Not really. We did this in stages, so let's summarize. Your first thing is you cannot make a turn if you're off balance. So you've got to get yourself in a balanced position. You would not walk like this on your heels, yeah? But people do. When you get to a golf ball, people go, oh, I've got to be perfect. So they get very static, and without realizing, when you get static, it allows you to fall back without realizing. You keep moving, and your body will naturally find a much more balanced position on the ball. So keep moving those feet. In fact, you could just hit golf balls initially, get this bit right, hit golf balls, trying to keep those feet moving before you move on to the second stage, which is actually the torso movement. Once you've done that, you've got the sense of the dynamism, then you've got to get the feel of this. What we after in a wonderful turn? We want a full turn. We're working it back. Use some mirror work here. Keep the lead shoulder down, left shoulder in my case, right shoulder up. Some of you won't be able to do that because you'll feel some tightness in your back. No problem. Do two things. Allow that lead heel here to come off the ground to release your hip. Releases your hip, releases your torso. Then from here to finish the job off, so you can now go even bigger. Don't be scared of straighten the right leg here, look, and working upwards, standing up a little bit. Not a problem with that. That really helps you to make that bigger turn. That's the second stage. And third and finally, look after this golf club. No flicking it here. Get yourself dragging it back. Keep that T-peg as close to your leg as you possibly can as you make this motion. You can see here, that will help stabilize the club face. And then away we go. So I'm going to make a really big motion here. Big turn back up, and then through we go. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is so important. Look, I titled it for senior golfers, but this is just a great way to make a big turn no matter what your age. But I know it would really help if you struggle with a little bit of flexibility and you're looking for some extra power. If you know some senior golfers that could benefit from this, please share it. And of course, you enjoy the video, come and see us next week by subscribing and pressing that little bell. But until next week, have a great golfing week.